breathing space to transform the economy into a resilient and stable economy that can manage the lighter burden of debt service in the future. This breathing space should not be wasted. In the past, Sri Lanka's economic growth was dominated by the non-tradable sector. During this period, particularly post-war, the economy expanded, but tax revenues and exports as a share of GDP declined. The capacity to service debt continued to diminish. To reverse the trend, we must transform Sri Lanka into an economy where growth is driven by non-debt-creating foreign exchange inflows. Exports of goods, export of services, and foreign direct investment must be the leading drivers of growth in the economy. In parallel, the fiscal, monetary, state-owned enterprise and other reforms must continue in parallel to ensure that fiscal and external buffers remain robust. A combination of strong revenues and robust foreign exchange balances are critical to ensure Sri Lanka's capacity to service the debt. The Economic Transformation Bill embodies all of these critical factors. It provides the institutional framework to support the growth of exports and FDI in the economy. The bill also provides the macroeconomic targets that will enable continued economic stability and sustainable, inclusive economic growth. Purposeful implementation of measures incorporated in the Economic Transformation Bill will create the required economic conditions that enable Sri Lanka to truly benefit from relief created by restructuring or debt. But a failure to do so would mean that we are swiftly fall back into trouble and the breathing space provided by debt restructuring will go to waste. What Sri Lanka requires now is a high growth trajectory. A high growth trajectory of 7% GDP per annum. It may be high by Sri Lankan standards. We have stayed at 4 and 5. But Vietnam and all have showed that you can go at 7. If you do 2 decades of 7% growth, our GDP will go from about 85 billion US to about 350 billion US, 4 times. So are we always going to stay poor? Our policies to stay poor? Shouldn't we have policies which will make us rich, not us, the future generation rich? In 2 decades, we won't be there. They will be there. We have to make them rich. So that is certainly what we should follow. And I ask this House and all political parties to get into a high growth policies and let's compete with each other on that. We can't go with low growth. We can't go on this journey any further. Therefore, while today is a major landmark and cause for celebration, it is by no means allow us to be complacent as a nation. The successful conclusion of the official debt restructuring should give us the confidence and encouragement to move forward on this path of economic recovery towards the goal of a prosperous, inclusive and sustainable economy, a high growth economy with a minimum of 7% growth per year. Honourable Speaker, I am sorry that when I am making this speech, one of my colleagues, the only colleague who came to Parliament with me, Mr. Sambandhan, is no longer here with us. He passed away on Sunday. He and I have worked together through difficult times, and I know the contribution he has made. One thing, though he was in the TULF and the TNA, he steadfastly stood for the territorial integrity of Sri Lanka. He told me, do you think, Ranil, I'll divide the country? As a small boy, I went to see independence in 1948. None of us has seen that. We were not even born, most of us. But he had his own views of how power should be shared. That there is no reason to fight on it, but I think he's done a sufficient amount of work that we have only a little more to finish, and the best contribution to him is to let us finish that work on devolution and decentralization. Thank you.